Bonsoir, Zulam Death beside. Good evening to you viewers. Thanks for joining us in this edition of the 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on Equinox Television. In our headlines, John Funzi, national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, has made his very first statement after his release by pro-independence fighters yesterday. John Funzi remains adamant that his representatives will not resign from the National Assembly after the separatist fighters ordered him to do so. And equally, we'll be telling you how the Association of English-Speaking Journalists, Kamasaj Douala, have paid visits to internally displaced persons of the Anglophone crisis in the Douala 4 municipality. They granted them gift, humanitarian aid of various sorts. And equally, the junior lands of Cameroon have won the final of the 2019 Africa Nations Cup, that is of the Under-17 Championship, and they've equally qualified for the World Cup that is built for Brazil. So I was Julian Beth, and to you viewers, good evening once more. Thanks for staying with us. After his abduction and release Saturday, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, John Funzi, remains firm in his decision in the face of secessionist fighters that he will not compel his representatives to resign from the National Assembly. The national chairman of the Social Democratic Front was speaking, among other issues, at his Tarikon residence in Bamenda. Mustela tells us more.
So if I agree with the Berry Bannetim out, tomorrow I enter Seoul and they will say Bannetim, what I will tell them. So I must go to Berry Bannetim.
This declaration was made at the Tarikon residence of the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party shortly before his departure to Njafnu in Bui division of the Northwest region for the burial of a man he called son. Before the convoy he was leading arrived Kumbu town, the trip was interrupted for John Funzi and some persons in his car as they were taken into the bush by armed men believed to be the separatist fighters, while the remains of the late Honorable Joseph Badazem Lukong continued to his rest place.
When we first got to Wainama, the Amber boys there told us that they were told that we were coming with the army. So they searched the cars, they didn't see any members of the armed forces. We continued. When we got to SOP, there are those of SOP that halted the convoy again and told the other people to go, but that I should come talk to them. I happily went to talk to them, but when I got there, I realized that I'd been abducted.
The national chairman was released same day, Saturday, April 27th, after spending over 5 hours discussing with his abductors. He then moved to Kumbu to bid farewell to his son, who was buried in his absence, before setting on his trip back to Bamenda. Speaking to some journalists at his residence shortly after his arrival, the national chairman rather disclosed some of the things he told his abductors.
For the 6.5, 7 hours I was with them, I'm happy I had the wonderful opportunity to talk my mind to them and to give them my own point of view. And I realized that there were many things that were going on that the boys didn't know. And people have been very frightened. Instead of going closer to talk to them, they are talking from distances and not putting down the firm facts the way they should be.
As to what guaranteed his release and his appraisal of the situation on the ground, the national chairman says this and more will be contained in a letter he will be sending to the presidency in the days ahead. This particular letter will be coming after Chairman Funzi had declared in one of his outings he will never again write to the head of state.
It's the circumstances that avail themselves for me to once more put down certain points in writing. Because when I write, it's there on record for you to know that yesterday this man addressed this.
Saturday, April 27, 2019, is going down history as the day when the man who courageously launched the Social Democratic Front Party in 1990 amid threats is the same man whose Babatu residence was burnt, cattle looted, brothers and sisters kidnapped, brother and worker still in captivity, was himself abducted on his way to bury a man he called son. The chairman wouldn't comment about his release, but maintains he was not in any way molested by his abductors.
We stay with our Northwest regional correspondent Bustela, who tells us that Joseph Banazem has finally met or visited his ancestors. He has equally left the Social Democratic Front and equally his family to mourn him. Bustela once more.
At the Tarinkon residence of the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, the flag is hung at half-mast. They are in tears for the loss of a son, father, friend, parliamentarian and parliamentary group leader, Honorable Banazem Joseph Lukong. Not even a wind could wave the flag hoisted this day. A mass in his honor was offered at the Tarinkon residence of the party's national chairman. In his homily, Reverend Father Humphrey Tatambwe had the following message for the mourners.
It is worthwhile reminding ourselves that human blood.
We'll be coming back to that report in a subsequent edition of the newscast. We now take you to Akomtu, that's a locality in the south region of Cameroon, to tell you how the population are living in deplorable conditions. They lack almost the entire basic social amenities. Immaculate Fogwe.
Coming in contact with electric cables has always been regarded as a no-touch zone for either adults or toddlers. But in the town of Akomdu in the south region, grabbing electric cables and using them as an instrument of having fun is a reality felt in that locality. This is due to the fact that inhabitants of Akomdu have been living for years now without any power supply in their area. Our roads are bad, poor communication network, and lack of energy are some of the problems we are facing in our locality. Even listening to news from our radio sets is a nightmare. It is just as if we are not living in Cameroon. The town of Akomdu is not evolving nor witnessing any development, though very rich with natural resources like gold, iron and wood. With all these riches, no impact is being felt. Where is the money gotten from the sale of these resources going to? Conserving our foodstuffs is now a nightmare. We are forced to rely on solar energy, which sometimes fails us. What can we really do? The lack of electricity is posing a great threat for us. When our children come back from school, they cannot study in the evening because the whole area is in darkness. They are calling on authorities concerned to bring up lasting solutions that can help solve the problem of no energy supply, poor roads, and poor communication network in their locality.
And calm is gradually returning in Obala, a locality in the central region of Cameroon, after a violent confrontation between two groups that led to the death of one person. Security forces have done their best to ensure the return of normalcy in Obala. Smanjukan Gabriel.
Life has returned to normalcy in Obala after the horrible scene that was witnessed in the town within the week. Sons and daughters of the town have decided to reinforce the concept of living together. We have to collaborate with the other communities to strengthen living together. The Bible itself said it, everyone should be up on his feet. I'm glad everyone asks for pardon. Presided by the senior divisional officer of Lekie, the gathering ended with several resolutions which all were geared to instilling peace in Obala. We all have recognized our mistakes. We should apply the instructions, particularly that concerning the vigilante groups.
celle qui concerne la redynamisation des comités de vigilance.
Nous vivons un phénomène ici.
We are going through hell here, Mr. Senior Divisional Officer. If you like, come here in the evening. You will realize that the rate of insecurity is high, that even sending a child is a problem. All present at the crisis meeting went home with the resolutions taken. As one person, we shall fight against tribalism in our different communities who have been living together for years now. Put in place an advisory body whose role is to calm down tempers of different ethnic groups in Obala.
Et de prévenir ou de modérer les tensions entre les différentes communautés sociologiques qui composent la localité d'Obala.
The senior divisional officer of Lekie again used the occasion to warn against the illegal sales of hard drugs like tramadol.
C'est aussi pour faire, j'insiste à nouveau, la lutte contre la vente illicite des médicaments.
Apart from hard drugs, the sales of alcoholic drinks to underage and urban disorders are some of the things that authorities in Obala will have to fight against for them to keep away the ugly incident that occurred in Obala last Wednesday, leaving 1 person dead and 12 persons injured.
And the Cameroon Association of English-speaking journalists, CAMASD, has granted some humanitarian aid to internally displaced persons of the Anglophone crisis in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision of the littoral region and other localities in the nation's economic capital. This gesture, comprising bags of rice, oil, soap, to mention but a few, is part of activities to celebrate World Press Freedom Day on May the 3rd. The gifts were gladly received by the victims of the armed conflicts between restoration forces and the military in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Some of the internally displaced persons say the gesture was very timely, as they have been starving or have very little to eat due to the overcrowded homes. Others confirm difficulties in surviving in Douala, an environment they have never lived there. Most of the IDPs' children have not been able to continue school due to financial constraints. We now take a listen to one of the IDPs who received this gesture from CAMASD.
I'm totally moving because as there was gun shooting all over Moyoka in our quarter. So I asked my mother that no, now as there is gunshot, I don't need to join the school because I was a student. So I called one of my uncle here in Douala. I said, no, can I join him in Douala? So when I came in Douala, too much of suffering and cold. There is nothing to eat here in Douala, and life is very difficult here. So I have my documents. I have the advanced level. So I've been trying to apply in the company of Savon. They cannot receive me. So just actually this afternoon, as I see you people, before I try to join people, one of my cousins just think at me that I know I should join this my colleague, that they are here to help the English people.
And the under-17 Lions of Cameroon are winners of the 2019 under-17 champions or African Nations Cup that played in Tanzania. They defeated their opponents, Guinea-Conakry, that is 5-3, as in a penalty shootout in a goal or a match that ended 90 minutes 0-0. And that's it for this 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on EQUINOXE Television. Thanks for watching. Have a splendid night. Julien Bev, bonne soirée.
Très bonne soirée à vous, Innocent Nazé. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est la fin de cette édition bilingue du journal. Merci de l'avoir suivi.